Hello and welcome to some of the best karma moments in cricket. Get ready to see players getting what they deserve as we dive right in. First up, we have two veterans locking horns during the 2023 ODI World Cup. During one of the group stage matches, Bangladeshi skipper Shakib was involved in the controversial dismissal of Sri Lankan Angela Mathews via a timed out. And all because Mathews walked back to the dugout to replace his broken helmet. While Shakib could have withdrawn the appeal in such a case, he chose to act salty instead, and a frustrated Mathews was sent back. In the second innings, however, the wily Sri Lankan got his revenge when he got a leading edge off Shakib's bat, dismissing him on 82 and denying him a century. Mathews then celebrated by tapping his wrist, a subtle dig at the Bangladeshi skipper for his stunt earlier. While Bangladesh did go on to win the match, it was nice to see Mathews get back at Shakib for what seemed to be an unnecessary enforcement of the cricketing rules. Next up, we have Virat Kohli acting in a manner not befitting of anyone playing the gentleman's game, let alone a legend such as himself. During the fourth test of the 2024-25 Border-Gavaskar Trophy, Kohli intentionally bumped into 19-year-old debutante Sam Constas, who was batting on 27, possibly to intimidate the youngster and throw him off his game. But the intimidation tactic backfired as Constas responded by smashing the Indian bowlers all around the park. He ended up scoring 60 off just 65 balls, providing his team with the kind of start that propelled him to 474 in the first innings. Australia went on to win this match by a solid 184 runs and would also eventually win the series 3-1. Not a great move by Kohli there, but that was sure a fantastic response by Constas. Here we have Kohli going at it again, this time against Paine during the 2018-2019 Border-Gavaskar Trophy. India had the Aussies against the ropes, who were missing the likes of Steve Smith, David Warner and Cameron Bancroft due to the Sandpaper Gate scandal. After beating the hosts in the first test, Kohli brought his usual aggressive self to Perth for the second match and had a full-on verbal sledge fest against Captain Paine. We don't mind a bit of sledging here and there, and for Kohli, that's just who he is. The Aussies are the original champions of sledging though, and Paine responded in kind, so much so that even the umpire told them to give it a break. But the Australian captain had the last laugh as his team ended up winning the match, that too by 146 runs. Not sure how Kohli felt afterwards about riling up the Aussies, but we assure you this wasn't the last time he did something like this. Next, we have a classic example of what it means to fall into your own trap. The 2023 ODI World Cup was supposed to be India's trophy. Not only were they hosting the tournament, but they were also playing like a team possessed. They simply looked unbeatable. But rather than relying on their good form and supreme talent in the knockouts, they overplayed their hand and requested the ICC to allow them to prepare pitches that suited their style. The result was a one-sided win against the Kiwis in the semis as they ended up playing on a ridiculously flat surface, completely neutralizing the New Zealand bowling attack. For the finals, they opted to go for a worn-out, dry surface, maybe in the hopes that their superior spin bowling department would take them over the line. However, in one of the most epic foreshadowing moments of all time, Cummins stated before the match that there was nothing more satisfying than hearing a big crowd go silent. And that's exactly what the Aussies did. They completely outclassed the unbeaten Indian team, beating them on their home turf in a lopsided contest. You would think that the pitch had actually been prepared by the Australians. It's safe to say India learned their lesson as they went on to win the 2024 T20 World Cup and 2025 Champions Trophy. But this loss will probably stick with them for a long time. Up next, we have a great example of the saying, life comes at you fast. The Aussies learned the harsh realities of life firsthand when Cameron Bancroft was caught trying to tamper with the ball during the 2018 Test series against South Africa. Not only was he caught doing so on the big screen, but he also tried to act smart about it by shoving the sandpaper down his pants when confronted by the umpires. He then proceeded to pull out a sunglasses pouch from his pocket to show the officials, but the only person he ended up fooling was himself, because that very evening he would admit his involvement in the plan, implicating Steve Smith and David Warner alongside himself. All three players were given varying suspensions, and the Aussies not only ended up losing the match but the series as well. Talk about rubbing salt into your wounds. Kohli sure does love a good fight, because he's making an appearance here yet again, this time against England's Johnny Bairstow. The last match of the 2021 Test series between England and India was being played after a significant delay, thanks to the global restrictions imposed due to COVID. India were 2-1 up in the series. Even a draw would mean a series win. To make matters worse for England, they already seemed to be down and out during the first innings. That is, until Kohli decided to have a go at Bairstow. The verbal exchange resulted in Kohli shushing Bairstow, and the big Englishman responded with not one, but two spectacular centuries. A performance so strong that England ended up chasing 378 in the last innings to win the match, and that too by 7 wickets. Kohli's aggression might have cost his team a series win here. What do we know? Next up, we have a self-inflicted karma moment that gives a whole new meaning to the phrase "catches win matches." The first test of the 2012 series between England and South Africa saw Amla become the first ever South African to score a triple century. A magnificent innings that could have been cut short had England held on to some of the chances they'd gotten. Amla was dropped once when he was on 40, and then Jimmy Anderson missed a difficult chance in his follow-through when Amla was on 116. He wouldn't give them another chance until he was on 299, when an attempt to go over cover almost ended his dream of a triple century as the ball brushed the fielder's hands. But this was meant to be Amla's day, and the Proteas legend ended up posting the highest score by a South African in a test match. England would end up losing the match by an innings and 12 runs. That's just life, guys. Either you take your chances or you face the consequences. For those of you familiar with Windies man Sheldon Cottrell, you would know he loves to send batsmen off with his trademark salute. During the 4th ODI of the 2019 series against England, the left-arm pacer made a similar gesture after dismissing Owen Morgan. Butler probably didn't appreciate the celebration, because a short while later he went on to smash Cottrell out of the stadium. He then walked down to the pitch and gave Cottrell a taste of his own medicine, a cute little salute that Ben Stokes enjoyed very much. Even Cottrell couldn't help but smile a little. There wasn't much else he could do at this point. What goes around sure comes around. Butler would end his innings at a brutal 150 off just 77 balls. Jeez, all that because of a harmless salute? Here we have some more Caribbean karma in action. During a Caribbean Premier League game, Kesrick Williams brought out his notebook celebration after dismissing fellow countryman Chadwick Walton. Poor Williams was probably just keeping a record of all the wickets he was taking in this tournament. But Walton found this insulting, and in their next encounter, he took Williams to the cleaners. Quite literally, he ended up smacking the bowler all over the park, bringing out his own notebook every time he sent the ball to the boundary. And it got so out of hand that even Williams seemed to have given up. Talk about a nightmare scenario. We're grateful that the target wasn't a big one, otherwise Walton might have ended up using every single sheet of paper in the Caribbean. Things settled down after the match though, as both players shared a hug in the middle. But boy, that encounter might have had Williams questioning his entire career. And always we've saved the best for last. Karma doesn't get more brutal than this. The story of the inaugural T20 World Cup in 2007 became a forgettable one for a young Stuart Broad. It all started when Flintoff threatened to take Yuvraj's head off after the Indian batter had hit him for a couple of boundaries. Things got heated and the umpires had to intervene. But after Flintoff walked away, poor Broad was left to deal with a fuming Yuvraj. The Indian legend proceeded to belt Broad out of the ground for 6 consecutive sixes, becoming only the second player at the time to achieve such a rare feat in international cricket. He also ended up scoring the fastest 50 of the time across all formats, off just 12 balls. India would not only win the match, but the tournament as well. Honestly, Freddie, learn to pick your fight, man. And there you have it, folks. Some of the best karma moments in cricket. Be sure to like and subscribe for more crazy compilations from the gentleman's game.